Welcome back to Boundless 2021. I'm Katherine Mays, VP of Customer Experience here at Nutshell, and joining me now is our lead account executive, Jared Knotts. One of the most important relationships at your company is the one between your sales and customer service teams. If you want to create a fantastic, consistent customer experience that makes your business stand out from the competition, your customer-facing teams have to be on the same page. In this masterclass, Jared and I are going to teach you how to collaborate across sales teams and customer support teams to provide your customers with maximum value and keep them buying from you year after year. If you have any questions for us during this session, please drop them in the chat, and Jared and I will answer a few at the end. So let's get started. Jared, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Katherine. Hi, everybody. I'm Jared Knotts. I'm the lead account executive here at Nutshell. I've been in tech sales for about 8 years now, selling everything from IP phone system, file sync and share, e-signature, AI networking tools, and have worked on a lot of different teams through my career. Some I've had great team collaboration, others not so good. So I know how much this affects the company's bottom line. And Nutshell has by far been the best team I've been a part of when it comes to this. So hopefully the best practices we share today will help others get their teams centered around their customers.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Jared. So I'll give a little bit about my background as well. My entire career, I've worked at customer-facing roles, from way back when in coffee shops. I've worked as a bank teller. I've worked in immigration law, which basically all of these roles leading up to my role at Nutshell really taught me how important it is when you're face-to-face with somebody or on the phone with somebody and they're not happy, no matter what your job is, like your job really is to make them happy and make sure they're having a great experience with the company that you're representing in that moment. So I'm really excited to be here at Nutshell now, where we place so much emphasis on the customer experience, whether that is starting from the time that someone is a prospect and maybe just hearing about Nutshell for the first time to all the way into years and years into doing business with us. So to get started, I guess, Jared, let's talk a little bit about the traditional goals of a sales team and a customer service team, and maybe we can talk a little bit about how they're the same and how they're different.
Yeah, so for a sales team, pretty simple: increase sales, generate revenue, create positive, lasting relationships. Sales teams are looked at as the face of the company and need to make a great impression and set good expectations, which I know are similar with your team.
Yeah, and a lot of customer journeys with many companies, the salesperson is the first person that someone talks to. On the customer service side of things, it's really about revenue protection. So your sales team is working really, really hard to bring new customers in the door. But because they're so focused on those early customers, early prospects, you want to make sure that they're still having a wonderful, consistent, positive experience down the line. So that's where your customer service people will come in and make sure that those customers are remaining happy and continuing to purchase from you.
Yeah, so just from a team perspective, how do we make sure new team members are set up for success to meet their respective goals and contribute to revenue growth?
Yeah, I love this topic. This is something that it took us a little while to learn, and it feels like we've kind of nailed it now, or something that we're really getting right. So hopefully you can steal our ideas. So this really starts with onboarding your new team members. Everyone needs to go through the same training to make sure that they have a very thorough knowledge and understanding of the products or services that you're providing. So what ends up happening when you're putting everyone through rigorous product-oriented or service-oriented training, your sales team is prepared to answer the most common customer service or support questions, and your support team is prepared to answer the most common sales-related questions. I won't name names, but I ran into an unfortunate example of this not going well earlier this week when I reached out to a company, actually thinking I might need to upgrade my service with them, spend more money with them to get some additional features that they offer. I couldn't get a hold of anyone except for eventually a technical support person who then wasn't able to answer my questions about billing. So that delayed my ability to upgrade with the company. So that's something that we don't want to happen. You don't want to be that company. So making sure that everyone has a base of understanding to center the customer need and have the autonomy to take care of them in that moment, that's really going to help you out.
Yeah, and I can speak to my, own experience here at Nutshell when I was onboarded. This company did a great job of just giving me the resources to be successful here. So, shadowing support calls to get familiar with the product, sitting in on sales demos, webinars, extensive product trainings with you and some of the other leadership team here. But I think most importantly, we just didn't feel rushed through the process. It's very important to understand that everybody learns at their own pace, so don't just throw them in the fire. And then always having somebody available for questions. And that's even to this day, just the response time we get from our support team if there is a question that we can't handle. A lot of times on demos, I can get a question that I wasn't able to field on the demo answered, live. So.
Yeah. And a big additional benefit to kind of doing that paired up training where your sales and customer service team members are sitting together, training together, working together, maybe even training each other. If you're at that size, is that your team members are building up those trusting relationships along the way so that you know that they'll have your back and you'll have their back. And I think that's something that's been really helpful. So I think the next topic we can jump into is how do we make it easy for customers to reach the right person? You always want to make sure that your customers or potential new customers are in touch with the best person to answer their questions. I thought maybe we could demonstrate this.
Yeah, while you're pulling that up too, for the sales portion of this at least, we do have, live chat available on our website here, which is a great resource just to get a quick answer. Maybe you're not ready to sign up for a trial yet, and just have a quick question about a feature that we offer or, some sort of integration. So our team does a great job of being responsive right through this here. The benefit of this too is it's integrated with our Nutshell account. So anybody who comes in and they chat with us, we're actually capturing all those communications, updating a person record in Nutshell or creating a new person if it's a new prospect for us. The other part of it for sales is we have a contact form, which is great because, if you want to get in touch with the appropriate team, we try to ask the right questions here to route you to them. So we can capture, of course, your contact information, and then we can even ask some, basic qualifying questions that'll help our team get ready when we do actually connect with you over a phone call. This too can be integrated with your Nutshell account through a web form. So a lot of the automation behind this is just, creating the person, creating the relationship with the company if they provide it, and then again, giving you those basic questions. And it can actually create a lead as well, which will, set automation of a task to do a phone call or maybe just an outbound email that can be triggered.
Yeah, if you caught Kristen's session earlier on pipeline building, I think she touched on adding leads into your account this way. And we've also dropped a resource into your handout section that will show you how you can add a similar form to your own website and make sure that that's integrated into your Nutshell account so that you can reach out to those people in a very timely manner. And then maybe we can mention the demo as well, Jared.
Yeah, so we do a live demo as well 3 times a week. It's our Intro to Nutshell webinar. It's a place if you're considering signing up for a trial with us, you're just curious about the features that we offer. This is a great way to get started with us. So we like to start with a video, really highlights the key features that we offer, and then we can go into a kind of live demo and then a full Q&A session. So again, we do this 3 times a week. It's ran by our sales team, and same sort of thing. You register right from here.
Yeah, and these are all ideas that we want you to steal. All of these are really about reducing friction and making sure that no matter where someone is in your buying journey, they're very easily getting in touch with the right person. So these are all really good ways for interested prospects to talk to your sales teams. I'm going to switch my screen share here, and I kind of want to show off how we do this on the customer service side of things. We definitely have a bit of a benefit here being a software provider, where when our customers are working with us, they are typically working inside of the application that we provide. So it makes it really easy to communicate with them in real time. That's not the case for every business, of course. So what I would recommend if you're selling maybe a physical product or a service is, include some information for people. Maybe there is a portal they can log into to get in touch with your team. Maybe there's a customer service phone number, anything that you can do to make sure that customers who are paying you for a service are really not running into friction when they're looking for help. So how we do it is we've embedded all of our help information directly into our product. So when a customer is navigating Nutshell, has questions, is running into potential issues or workflow problems, they can really easily just chat with us. They can check out our Help Center articles, of course, and we try to make it super easy to get in touch. And then the last thing I would like to show off, because this is the first place that everyone goes when they need anything is Google, right, or a search engine. So if I'm looking to contact a company, I'm just going to look it up, and they should be able to see right away, like, what number do I call, like how do I get in touch? So I definitely recommend not hiding this away and making it really easy for people to figure out how to get in touch.
Yeah, I think it's probably important to note too that no matter how easy you make this stuff, people are going to end up getting to the wrong team, and it's important to have the handoffs in place, which Nutshell makes it really easy to do that through a bunch of different means, whether you're doing it inside of Nutshell with at mentions or creating tasks for people, but we'll get into that here in a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think we're probably ready to get into that just about now. So how do we know who a customer should be talking to internally if they reach out through any of the ways? Like, we just demonstrated like 6 ways to get in touch with Nutshell. We don't want to put the responsibility on our customers to know which of those ways they should use. So if they choose one that isn't ideal, how do we really put this into practice to make sure that a customer is speaking to the best team member to answer their questions?
Yeah, and I think that, if we go into an actual record here or into our pipelines here, we do have a full history of communication that you're having with your contacts. So it could be, a support member is answering a ticket. It could be that there was a sales demo that already happened, but this is all being captured in the timeline. So we can easily come in, see exactly where one of our, one of our support reps have left off, or whether one of our salespeople have left off with them, and pick that up without putting it up to the customer to have to, figure that out to get to the right person. What we also do is we have these pipelines as well, which I'll let...
Should I head into that pipeline builder?
Yeah, I think that probably makes sense. Let's go into the pipeline builder here. And again, we'll try not to spend too much time in here just because our awesome customer success manager, Kristen, just went through a whole workshop on building out these workflows. And so this is a pretty simple sales pipeline here. And we can kind of talk through this. So this, again, just so this makes sense, Nutshell offers 3 record types. So there's companies, people, and leads. Companies and people are great for contact management, right? Capturing your communication, keeping them all in one base. Leads are good to work through a specific process that you build out. So this is just, we're the administrator or the sales manager, and we're coming in and we're setting up that process. The first thing that I like to do here is come in and define whatever the stages are going to be across the top here. So again, this is a pretty simple one. You're not limited to 3 stages. You can continue to add stages. It could be even a 1-stage pipeline if it's more just a transactional process. But that's the first step here. Just come in and define the stages. The next bar down below that, that's your assignment. So who's taking ownership of the lead at this stage? There can be a handoff as well. So you see the first stage, it's assigned to me. Maybe you have a business development team that comes in and qualifies the leads. And then when it advances as a qualified lead to the next stage, the more senior sales staff picks it up and runs the pitch. So that's what that next bar is. You're basically just deciding who takes ownership at what stage of the process. Right below that are your goals, which can create the automation and move the lead from one stage to another. So basically, as you can see here in the initial contact stage, our goal is to log a discovery phone call. Once the reps do that, the lead advances and it triggers the next steps of the process here. Below that, this is probably the important piece here. So these are the automated tasks that will appear per stage. These can be assigned to the lead owner, they can be assigned to an individual rep, or they could be assigned to another team. These are basically what are creating your to-do list for the day. And that's the goal, right? If you get your pipeline set up, you're working leads through them, each one of your reps should be able to come into their home screen and have a to-do list, which will, basically keep them on task, make sure they're not missing any follow-ups, and, pretty much avoid having that feeling in the back of your head like you're forgetting to do something. And that's what Katherine is showing here. Basically, this is a a demo account here, so this is a pretty short to-do list. But I know us internally, ours get up to 40 a day or something like that. So can't keep this stuff in your head. It's very easy to follow if you just have it right in front of you as soon as you log into the account there. If you want to go back to the pipeline here, yep. So this is during the the journey here. This is when the lead is open. Each one of these tasks can appear per stage of the pipeline, so you can see that as we're moving through here. But we also have the ability to create tasks based on the outcome. So, if a lead works its way through here, you end up winning the lead, you can trigger a task, in this case for our onboarding team, to pick up the handoff and start working with them on onboarding. And at this point, Katherine, do you want to go into just showing a lead and how that handoff would kind of look?
Yeah, let's do it. I think,
Cool.
What's so helpful about this is at any given time who's responsible for the next actions on the lead. So, if you are, working the front desk or working in customer service and, answering all the phones or emails, and say John Smith here were to reach out, you can pull him up, no matter who you are. If you have a Nutshell account, you can pull him up, just search for him and see that you have an open lead with him, where he's at in the buying process. That's going to affect how you communicate and what information you share with that individual. So to get to that handoff part that Jared was talking about, we'll say this lead is 1, it's closing, we're winning that deal. So those follow-through tasks, let's see.
Towards the bottom there, if you scroll down.
Oh, yeah.
There
we go.
Yep.
So Antonio now is going to get notified, okay, it's time to reach out. And one thing that, I like to think about when you're designing your pipeline, and then when you're using it, is the communication that is supposed to be happening at that time proactive? Is your team reaching out to the customer? Or is it reactive? Is your team waiting for the customer to contact you? So what we're kind of going through is how to do both of those things. And typically how it often works is your sales team will be doing a lot more of that proactive outreach, and your service team will be handling a lot more of that reactive outreach. So we'll say Antonio is a member of our service team. He's got a task to start onboarding. So what we want to do is make a copy of this lead so that I don't have to re-enter all of that information, assign it to Antonio, and switch the pipeline over to our installation pipeline to help get him on board.
Yeah, and this is so great. The way that we do this internally here as well, I've had, other companies that I've worked for where it's pretty much, the purchase happens and I have no idea what happens after that, right? There's just not that transparency between teams. I don't have the timeline that shows if they reached out to start the next steps of the next, part of the process. But with something like this, I can come in, in some of my bigger deals, I can see exactly where they are in that onboarding process and all the communication our team has had with them. So it alleviates a lot of stress. There's no question marks to, hey, did they get reached out to? Did I set expectations that are actually being upheld? And you can look at this at a solo basis, just where is the specific company or person in that process? Or if you go to the full leads view, you can get a sense of where all of your customers are in that specific process here.
Yeah, this is great. And I think really you want anyone who is involved in communicating with your customers in any way to be in your CRM, to have access to Nutshell. Whatever my job is, if I'm picking up the phone and I hear from John Smith, I need to know who he is and who's talked to him and where he is at. That's gonna guide what I do with that call. And if I can, look him up in Nutshell, figure out what's already happened, who's already spoken to him, I know who to transfer that call to or forward that email to. I might even, if you're really good, really sophisticated, and we definitely try to do this here, is like Jared was touching on, seeing where they're at and then suggesting their next steps based on that information or what still needs to be done. It's going to be so helpful. You know, a lot of our customers say have a stage in the pipeline where it's send proposal, right? So maybe you sent a proposal out, that customer or potential customer is calling in. It might not be the salesperson that answers the phone, but you really want them to sign that proposal. Your business needs them to sign that proposal. So if everyone is on the same page about what that means and what action needs to be taken in order to get that signature, that's just going to do wonders for your business. So Jared, we've kind of talked a lot about having the process and building the process, putting it together, which is really great. But maybe we can talk about some ways that we can make sure we're following it.
Yeah, so I think one of the best ways is probably through our activity report. Yep, and this is basically a great report. There's a few different reports we can touch on here, but this activity report, you can get down to seeing what a team is doing, what an individual rep is doing. You can come in and you can basically see which activities you're doing are winning to more wins, and you can kind of focus on doing those. And that's what we're looking at here. This will also show you a list of all the reps who are part of the company or team, how many of each of those activities they're doing. So this is a great report just to see productivity and what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, I'll point out too, the filtering options on here, especially if you are a larger team or a scaling team, this can be really helpful. So, we can see what are the primary activities that our sales team is completing and how is that contributing to our business? How is that allowing us to win more deals, and which activities are contributing to that? We can do the same thing for a support team or a customer success or onboarding team, installation team. Another thing I definitely recommend for any business, and we also dropped some handouts related to this in the chat. You can hook up your Nutshell account with your ticketing system if you're using Zendesk, your chat system if you're using Intercom, and those will flow right in. So you'll have activities for customer service tickets, chats, whether they're sales chats or customer service chats. And you can actually filter this down to say, okay, I want to see maybe some sales specific activities, like a sales demo and a discovery call, and check out the contributions there and the volume of those activities. And you can do the same for more traditionally customer service related activities, maybe adding chats and tickets just to kind of show how that looks. And what's really cool is you can then start to draw a connection between having customer service contributions to your sales, to your closes. So this is just a demo account, of course, so this isn't really real, but these 21 other activities, also just to point out, these are going to be your open leads. So there might be a lot of opportunities still.
I also really like the list view that you show with those as columns, which basically you can see which activities are associated with which leads, and are they won, are they still open?
Yeah, let's definitely show this off, because you can get really granular with your activity reporting, being able to see how many times are my leads chatting in, how many discovery calls does it typically take to close a deal, how many sales demos, do these things correlate to higher lead values, shorter sales cycles? All of those things are really interesting to check out. So if we add those columns to our list here, we can kind of see, we can sort. There we go. And see what percentage of our leads are chatting. Let's add open and won leads here. That'll give us a little bit more interesting data, because then that will add our win rate as well. So we can do something like, sales demos greater than 0, what's our win rate for our leads who have had a sales demo? Or same thing for, customer service tickets. If it's been greater than 0, how is that affecting our win rate? So these metrics are really going to help you out, understand where you need to invest in your team and where your existing team should be investing their time.
Yeah, and I think something else that we use all the time that's important. So we showed the timeline on a specific lead record or a company record or a person record. We use this all the time internally here, and it helps especially with team collaboration here, because this timeline view from the dashboard will show you anything that's happening in your Nutshell account in real time. Of course, if you have limited permissions, it's only going to show the stuff that you have access to. But I know our team will, maybe see an email come in that's time sensitive, or a support issue that might need quick attention to, and it's easy for us to capture that. And then you can even write a note underneath and mention the team who needs eyes on it, to make sure it's taken care of as quickly as possible.
Yeah, this is great. We use this all of the time, these app mentions. I think we've also dropped a link to that in the handout section. But being able to tag colleagues is something that we use very frequently. So anytime someone communicates with a prospect, with a lead, or with a customer, they're getting new information about that person, and anyone you can share it with to help increase the success of your business is going to be great. So, here's a really good example of a lead. So I received a ticket from this lead, found out that they were ready to move forward, saw that it was assigned to Jared, that they got the initial email sequence, but they haven't yet had their discovery call. So I can then take some action on that as a member of a customer service team, mark the lead as hot up here just by checking this box, and dropping a note to Jared, sending him that notification that this lead is ready to move forward and that he should probably hurry up and make that discovery call and close the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I think that we might have time now to answer a few questions from the audience. Okay, so we have a question. I often need to share a contact's information stored in Nutshell with other customers of mine. What's the best way to do this through Nutshell? That's a great question, and I can show that. So what I like to do is do quick exports. You can do this from the lead. You can do send to CSV. That'll just download a copy of all the information that you have for this lead, and you can easily send that. You can do the same thing from a company or person page. Skip that. We'll do send to CSV. Just a quick download of all this person's information. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Something I like to do a lot. Okay, let's see. The next question that we have, I'm using multiple pipelines. How can I trigger lead progression from one pipeline to another? That's a great question too. Should we demonstrate that maybe with this hot lead?
And this is just about the handoff that we discussed, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so when this lead is ready to be moved to another pipeline, all you need to do, there's actually a really simple way to do that, is you can just change the pipeline directly on the lead. So you'll get a drop down of all of your pipelines right here. So you can choose any of your multiple pipelines. If you are in need of preserving this information, like maybe Jared as a salesperson for this pipeline still needs to complete these stages, but there's additional information that needs to take place. You can do, again, the clone lead, which we showed earlier, which just creates a copy of the lead. And from there, you can switch the pipeline, switch the assignee, switch anything you need to on the new copy. Nothing you do here is going to affect the original version. The other thing that's pretty cool is, we've shown like the automated tasks, but sometimes things come up that are not necessarily planned for, but really, the whole point of this discussion today is centering everything you do around the needs of your customer. So, we want to stay flexible. So what we like to do is create these tasks, which, again, those will show up on your dashboard in the sidebar. You can look at your task list. I don't have any right now.
Yeah, it looks like James is asking, do you integrate with Slack? And yes, the answer is we do. We have a native integration with Slack. Maybe it would make sense to jump into the pipeline and show how we can automate notifications into certain Slack channels here.
Yeah, these are great.
Yeah. So yeah, you can connect your Slack account to a pipeline here, and you'll see per stage you can get a different trigger. So if a lead is created or if it hits a certain stage of your pipeline, you can have it ping a notification with a link to that lead in a specific channel. I know that we use this internally in a sales channel. So go back to the follow through section or the outcome. You can basically set it up to where if a lead is 1 and it's over a certain value, you can have it ping a Slack message with that lead to your sales channel, for instance, in Slack.
Yeah, this is great. This is also a good way to rope in people who maybe aren't constantly signed into Nutshell, or maybe you're not confident they've set up their notifications correctly. But, you know, like for example, in this pipeline, we have a task assigned to Jason, who typically won't be the owner of the lead, but is responsible for sending the estimate. So what we could do is have this ping Slack when leads enter this stage so that Jason knows that he is going to have a task due with that lead. Another question we got from Max, could you talk a little more about support tickets and Zendesk information? Yes, I would be happy to. So you may have noticed in your Nutshell account, you'll see this on people pages, company and lead pages. It's there on all of them is this little tickets button. If you integrate your Nutshell account with Zendesk, all of the tickets that you have with your customers, and if you're using Zendesk chat, those chats will also come in as tickets. But this is great. It'll give you the full context of all of the conversations that your support or service team is having with your customers right in the timelines, so that you can always see those in real time in Nutshell.
We use those all the time too as a sales team, because sometimes they do, like we showed, get to support before they end up talking to us. So if there's like a specific question that you can see in the support ticket or the support chat, it makes it easier to kind of focus on, you know, how Nutshell can help have those problems they're initially reaching out with.
Yeah.
I've got a question from Rachel. How do you get email signatures in Nutshell? So we can easily add your email signature, and I'm sure you've seen, but we do have integrations with Office 365 and G Suite, two-way sync integrations. But of course, if you're sending emails through Nutshell, you can have a nice signature that will appear inside of any outgoing email from Nutshell.
Yeah, I'm not connected with Google right now, but in order to set up an email signature, you'll just come into your menu over here, your settings, and then from there, you'll click on this email send section, and that's where you'll be able to enter in your email signature and format it so that it looks the way you want. We've got a question from Elizabeth. We do a lot of projects that we price with multiple customers, and those customers may have more than one project with them. Because we have our emails automatically feeding in, every email contact goes into each lead or project, meaning that the emails that don't pertain to the project get in there. Got it. Yeah. Is there any way to help with that besides just manually deleting them? Definitely. So Elizabeth, and for anyone else who might be running into this, the emails that sync into your Nutshell account are going to basically connect with any person, an open lead that has that email address on the profile. So for example, an email from Alyssa from this email address is going to copy onto her open lead. And if there are multiple open leads, you'll see those emails there. So that's something we're actually really excited. Sneak peek, this is something our product team is going to be working on soon to address that so it doesn't happen. But for now, what you can do to avoid it is if you include the lead number in the subject line of your email, in this case, it would be lead 1639. You can BCC the email, so you'll just forward it to bcc@nutshell.com with lead 1639 in the subject line, and that will pop that email onto this lead timeline and keep it off of other lead timelines. All right, looks like I have a few more questions on my end. One from Ian, do you have file storage in Nutshell? For example, I frequently send several PDFs to prospective clients. Is there a way to store these in Nutshell and not have to attach them from my desktop each time? Good question. So what we typically recommend doing is, so if you are sending those emails to your customers or prospects and your email is synced with Nutshell, those attachments will sync in automatically with the email. So you'll see them on the email notes in the timeline. We do not have a centralized file storage system. We usually recommend sticking with something like Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, something that is really focused on that kind of virtual and shared file management to keep track of those types of files. But you can always upload files individually. So maybe you have a template that you're using to fill out for your proposals, or anything else that you're sending, you can upload them directly onto your company person and lead pages. And then Nick's question was similar. So Nick, yeah, you'll see attached files right in this section if they're uploaded. You'll see those on any company person or lead. And then Gary Bradshaw has a question. Can we track time spent on a ticket? Yes. So if you're using the Zendesk integration, I recommend you do this within Zendesk. There are a lot of tools there to help with that. However, if you're looking to track that in Nutshell and you're not using Zendesk, you're just logging your tickets manually, which you can do. You can add a duration. So you can change this. If you click this little more button, you can choose specific times. So if I was working on a ticket with a customer from like 2 to 4, maybe it was a really tricky one. Hopefully not. That's not a good experience for the customer. We'll say 2:45. You can put in your time and save it that way.
Looks like Michael has a question. I noticed that when adding Twitter or LinkedIn URLs for a contact, it sometimes auto-populates with a picture and additional information. Sometimes it doesn't. How does this work? What is the purpose? I'd love to take full advantage of the feature. So great question, Michael. We have a feature called Nutshell Intelligence. And the way it works is the email address you have for a person in your Nutshell account. If it's associated with their LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, any public social media, Nutshell will go out and it will find any public data associated with that person and try to enrich their profile page for you. It's an awesome feature because it will grab the links and pull them in so you can bounce right over to their LinkedIn. It will pull in, job title. If they have a company they're associated with, you can see she's demoing Ben here. And it pulls all the links in here. So this is nice too, because if you open a contact record and anything has changed, Nutshell will go out and it will try to update that data for you.
Yeah, you can also, there's a kind of a hidden trick too you can do to take this a little bit further. So we've got these optional description sections that you'll see on your companies and people. We can fill those in with Twitter bios. And if you want that to happen, you'll just come into the Your settings and you'll connect to Twitter on your profile here. So that can be really helpful too. It'll basically just connect to your Twitter account, but that will give us the ability to pull in a little bit more information about your contacts. Let's see. And we have a question from James. We didn't mention OneDrive. Is there an integration with OneDrive? Let's see. Off the top of my head, I want to say yes, but if we go to upload file, let's see, box, Dropbox. Unfortunately, yeah, James, I'm sorry, we don't have an integration with OneDrive right now. I definitely recommend sending those suggestions, and I'll be sure to pass this along, but please always reach out to our team. We're available through this chat window. If we're not available, you'll have the option to submit a message and we'll get back to you quickly, but we love hearing feedback. This is, again, kind of like the point of this is all of your sales and customer service really is centered around the needs of your customers. So that's something that we try to do for all of you. And we love hearing your feedback. So if something's missing and you need it, please get in touch. We love to help you out. We keep track of all that feedback and we make sure that We're always trying to make improvements that are going to benefit you so that you can do what you need.
I know kind of a sneaky workaround for people using OneDrive. We have the native integrations with a few cloud providers, but of course, if you have a OneDrive account, you have a folder or a file in it, you can always generate a link and store the link inside of Nutshell. That way, if you click the link and it's to a proposal, for instance, the link is in Nutshell, the proposal's in OneDrive, but you can click it and route yourself right to it that way.
Yeah, and that works great for like shared documents. What I usually do for that is we'll create, maybe you have like proposal notes or call notes. We'll just call this proposal. You create a custom field in your account and make it URL type. Just kind of to show you exactly what Jared's talking about. So now if I go into a lead, I can paste any link I want to in here, and that's going to be clickable by anyone who has access to view this lead to make sure you're able to have that ongoing collaboration on your documents.
I've got a question from Nick. Any integration with Microsoft Teams? So we don't offer any native integration with Microsoft Teams. I think there's a third-party connection through Zapier. I'm not super familiar with it. Are you, Katherine? Do you guys get that a lot in support?
Let me double check. That's not one we hear about a ton. We mostly hear about Slack, but obviously Microsoft tools are extremely popular. Let's see. Yes, so for integrations, especially integrations that are going to help you collaborate across all of your teams, but the teams that are working with your customers, Zapier is a third-party system, and our support team is really helpful with answering questions about this, but we can connect to thousands of other applications this way. They're fun to set up. It's kind of like a point and click, set up the integration you want. But we're able to basically, it looks like you can send messages to channels in Microsoft Teams based on a new company, person, or lead in Nutshell using Zapier. So that sounds like a great idea for anyone using Teams. Okay. Let's see. How are we doing? Got one more question from Elizabeth. I use the app quite a bit to directly dial from my iPhone. I love that feature and that the app will prompt me to log the call. The issue I have is that it automatically logs it as an in-person meeting because that's on the top thing on the activities list. Is there a way to help with this so I don't have to go back and edit on my desktop? I've tried changing the order of the activities because I think that's the issue. Okay, so Elizabeth, if changing the order did not help, I definitely suggest reaching out to our support team for some help with that as well. Sorry to deflect on that one for right now, but yeah, we'd love to make sure that we get that working for you. Those phone calls should be logged as calls. That'll make your life a lot easier. So please get in touch with us. We'll work one-on-one with you to make sure that gets sorted out.
That is an awesome feature, though, just to emphasize that, just the way that you can call somebody through the Nutshell app. It actually calls through your cell phone app on your phone, but when it comes back, it asks if you want to log it, and you can even voice to text your notes in. I know that we have a ton of outbound road warriors out there using that feature and love it.
Yeah, thanks, Jared. All right, well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much for watching and for posting your questions. Please stay tuned for our Nutshell Efficiency Hacks Masterclass, which starts at 1:15 p.m. Eastern Time with Eric. That's going to be a great session. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.